Hi everyone. This is a quick walkthrough of Google Analytics to show you where you'll find the most important metrics. So when you first log into Google Analytics, you get this dashboard on the front end where it gives you the most important measurements. And you can change it from last 7 days to the time period that you want. It'll also tell you if you've got any active users on the site right now. It then gives you a quick view of your different traffic channels, and also it might give you some insights into interesting changes. It gives you some trends over time, how well you retain users, so how often people come back to your website. It'll give you users by time of day, which can be a very useful metric when you're starting to think about how people interact with your site. So that's a good one to see. Gives you sessions by country, sessions by device, the pages that most people will visit, that most of your website visitors have been to, any goals that have been completed, and if you have any Google AdWords campaigns running, it shows you the AdWords campaign data. So that's the quick little snapshot dashboard where you actually find all of these things individually. I'm going to show you now. Real time shows you exactly what's happening on your website right now, which is not, for most small businesses, isn't the most important metric. Under this audience tab is where you're going to find things that you would like to look at, such as geographic. Geo is where people are located. Mobile is what devices they were using when they came to your site. Those are the things that people generally like to look at. So if we have a look at geo, if you click to open it, you can look via language or location. And if you look by location, it will first of all show you by country, but then you can drill down. So it'll give you the map at the top, and then the table at the bottom that gives you an indication of what's happening on that. But then you can drill down to city or to region. So that'll give you your individual cities. And within a country, if you are inside this table, if you then click through into that specific country, you'll then be able to see the cities and the regions within that country that have brought you traffic. One of the things that you have to remember is that these tables are pulling all of your traffic together. So this is all of your direct traffic, your organic traffic, your advertising traffic, your social traffic, etc. So if you are running advertising campaigns, etc., just remember that this is all of the data together. Mobile, if you come through to overview, will then give you an idea of how much of your website traffic has come from mobile devices. So it's separated into mobile, which is essentially smartphones and feature phones, desktop, and then tablets is your iPads and your tablet devices. So that can then give you an indication of sort of how this traffic is different between different devices. For example, here you can see desktop traffic. The bounce rate is much, much lower, and the traffic spends a lot more time on the website as opposed to mobile devices. So there's an indication that the desktop traffic is of higher quality than the mobile traffic. Okay, the next thing that most small businesses would be interested in, and what I think is the most important thing, underneath acquisition, all traffic, and click to channels, will then show you how people reached your website. The other thing that it's important to note is that you can change the date range. So this is set for last 7 days, but if you click on the drop down, you can then select either a custom date range or one of the preset ones, and you can also then compare it either to the previous period, or you can then compare it to the previous year as well. That option's not coming up right now, but it's just because analytics is having a little glitch. So if we click here now, compare to previous period or previous year. I'm just going to take that off because it can be confusing. So this is where you can then see how your traffic found you and compare the conversion. So we can see here that the organic traffic is really low, but it's converting really well with a really high conversion rate. So that is a very quick way to be able to see how your different marketing avenues are going and how people are finding your website. If you have Google Ads running, your ads data will be here. And there's a couple of other bits and bobs there. Social is another important one. If you have a look at your social overview, it will tell you exactly how many sessions came through social and what social network brought people in. If you have a lot of social traffic, there's a lot more, if you click through, you'll be able to see a lot more data. Underneath behavior, the metrics that most small business owners and medium businesses are interested in is underneath site content, is to be able to have a look at the landing pages. So this is the pages where people actually came into the website. So whether they followed a link or because they've done a search on Google and this is the page that's come up, these are the pages where people are actually entering the website. So it gives you an indication of what people have been reading, how they got into the site. So that's a really important thing to be able to look at. The conversions tab is one where a lot of people spend a lot of time. This tells you how many goals have been achieved. So what is, either if it's contact pages, if it's forms that have been submitted, or if it's e-commerce, the e-commerce information will be underneath here. Another important thing to have a look at is then to have a look at your attribution models. So if you click under attribution, you get a model comparison tool. And if you want to look, all of the data that we've been looking at attributes your conversion to your last click. So if let's say your website user originally found you through an ad, a Google ad, and then came back directly to your website and then saw something on Facebook and came back to the site again, the conversion would be attributed to Facebook because that was the last click. But there are different attribution models that you can have a look at to see how that changes. Very often we look at the first interaction because we want to have a look at how was a user first introduced to the company or to the brand that then resulted in a conversion. So for example here, if we have a look at last interaction, it says that organic search was 8 and direct was 7. But if we look at first interaction, we can see that organic search is actually 10. So the organic search actually has a higher level of importance than what the numbers are showing us. So that's a really cool, nifty thing that we can do with analytics. The last thing I quickly want to show you is something that you can have some fun playing around with, is underneath audience, there's a tab called user flow. And if you have a look here, this is a really nice little graph that can show you how people came to the site and what they went. So what landing page did they land on and then where did they come off? And you can change this from, so at the moment it's set to country, we can change this to be different metrics that we would normally look at. So we can then change this to source. And it then shows you your traffic source. So if we want to look specifically, okay, so this is traffic that's coming through Google. So where did our Google traffic go to? So mainly to the home page and then a whole bunch of other pages. And then they dropped off. But the ones that didn't drop off, which pages did they then go to? And it shows the flow of users through your website. So you can sometimes dig out some really interesting bits of behavior from here and maybe see why people are dropping off from the site. So that's a really quick run through on Google Analytics. The last thing I want to show you is if you have to add users to your Google Analytics, you click on this little wheel at the bottom here, and you then have your accounts, your property, and your view. You want to make sure that you have access underneath the accounts with all permissions. So this is edit, collaborate, read, analyze, and manage users. And then underneath property, that is where you would generally give other agencies or anybody else that needs to use the data, you would give them access at that level. I hope that you found that useful, and if there are any questions, you know exactly where to find me. Have a fab day. Bye.